He's going to give you some game and speak on how he made $1 million and the car he was driving is only worth $500.
The first time I made $1 million in a year, my car was worth $500 that I was driving. I still drive today that $500 car. Just last week, before I came out here to California, my homeowner association called me and they said, "Hey Jasprit, we have a number of complaints about a junk car sitting in your driveway. People say that you should take these junk cars and put them in storage." And I was like, "Well, for your information, it's not a junk car. That is my car that I take to and from work every single day. It doesn't have a bumper on it, but it works." And they were like, "Well, you have to put it higher or further in the driveway so people don't see it." And I was just like, "Oh my God, you don't get it." And it's not that I can't go out and buy another car. The way I look at it is, well, if I want to go out and buy a $150,000 car, which I can go out and take this cash and buy a car, or I can take this $150,000 and put it back either into real estate or into stocks or into my business.
The most important one, number one, David, if you are going into any business, you must understand the business A to Z. You must know that business. You shouldn't just go and invest because somebody now will say, okay, hey, there's good money in cement, then you go and jump into cement. You have to understand the business in and out. And that's the difference with me. I know my business in and out. You can wake me up any time and ask me about fertilizer, ask me about anything that we are doing. And the other one is really to work very hard, and you have to have the tenacity of continuing to, you have some hiccups here and there, but you have to be focused in terms of what you are doing.
If I know the Japanese yen is going to rise and I know the euro is going to fall, I'm going to short the euro against the Japanese yen because basically I'm making profit off the euro devaluing and the Japanese yen increasing.
I'm going to require that you take $300 every month, $150 a paycheck, and we're going to automate it to the separate account. And his son's like, "I can't do that." He goes, "Let me tell you why you want to do it. It'll be up to you. If you promise to do that and you really do it and you automate it so you don't see it, and you do that for 8 years, you'll never have to invest again and you'll be financially set for life." His son goes, "Come on, Dad. 8 years, $300 a month? What is that?" As he does the math, he goes, "That's $28,000, over 8 years, $28,800. $28,800, how's that going to do anything? Especially if I don't add any more money after 27 years old." He goes, "Let me show you, son. The market's gone up 10% over 30 years. Let's apply a lower number. Let's do 8%. Be conservative. Let me show you what the numbers are when they compound." You know how much he has when he retires? $1.8 million, and all he put in was $28,800.
If you're starting a business and you take out a loan, you're a moron, right? Because there's so many uncertainties involved with starting a business, yet the one certainty that you'll have to have is paying back your loan. 99% of small businesses you can start with next to no capital. It's more about effort. Small businesses don't fail for lack of capital. They fail for lack of brains. They fail for lack of effort. If you start a business, you better know your industry and your company better than anyone in the whole wide world. If you're going to compete with me in one of my businesses, you better realize that I'm working 24 hours a day to kick your ass.
You're supposed to use your 9 to 5 to get assets. You're not supposed to live on your 9 to 5. I need y'all to really think about that. That is the whole secret sauce to how I became who I became. I leveraged my 9 to 5. I took the money that I made from my 9 to 5 and I invested it in assets. And then the assets is what made me become a millionaire, not my 9 to 5.
Here's how you set up a family bank that everyone can benefit from. First, you're going to open up a trust. Make sure to appoint yourself as a trustee so you maintain complete control over the assets. Then have the trust purchase life insurance on all the members of the family. Just make sure it's a policy that can give you strong cash value. Then you can borrow from the trust based on the need for the family. Just make sure the trust is the beneficiary of these life insurance policies so that when someone passes away, the trust can be fully replenished. That keeps the trust from ever being depleted. And here's a visual of what the actual cycle looks like. And this never-ending process can completely change your family's dynamic.
Y'all ain't hear this from me, but Navy Federal has a new no docs loan. Y'all know when it comes to Navy Federal, they literally just sit there and give away money. Like, they literally give away money. It's 2024. If you still ain't got nobody access code to make you one, I don't think you want no money for real. Anyways, all you need is your Navy Federal account for a month or longer, and you gotta have a 600 or more credit score. If your credit score is above a 600 and you had your Navy Federal for a month or more, you're eligible for a no-doc loan up to 100K. I said up to 100K. I didn't say you was gonna get the whole humbug, But this is great if you're trying to like start a small business, if you got any debt that you're trying to wipe out. And it can also be forgiven. So if you meet certain requirements, you won't even have to pay it back. Thank me later.
100K is basically living paycheck to paycheck. It's no longer middle class. At one point, it was middle class, making 100K. But right now, just living in the hood is $2,000 a month to live in a bad neighborhood. So imagine living in a good neighborhood right now. It's at least $3,000 to $4,000 a month. And then you're only making 100K. So you're only making about $9,000 or $10,000 a month. So that's like half your check right there, just paying rent. This is why I say it's paycheck to paycheck.
100K is now middle class. A lot of people consider $100,000 or a six-figure salary to be the hallmark of success, but that is really no longer the case. In fact, more than 50% of people who make over $100,000 per year are living paycheck to paycheck. What does that say about the cost of living in our society? The wealth gap in America is growing, and it's only going to continue to get worse. A $100,000 salary in 2024 is equivalent to a $55,000 salary in 2000. If you are not investing, inflation will slowly eat away at your savings until there is nothing left. Every year, the government prints more money and the value of the dollar decreases. This is not even mentioning the ridiculous increase in the price of real estate. Inflation has always been a problem, but it started getting really bad a couple years ago. The government started printing trillions upon trillions of dollars to hopefully stimulate the economy and circumnavigate the effects of a global pandemic. The interest rate dropped to basically zero, which meant that the government was handing out money for free. In 2021, inflation went up 7%. This means that if your employer did not raise your salary by at least that amount, you are now effectively making less than you did before. I'm genuinely worried by this, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about it.
We cannot be black and proud and niggas too. White folks are planning for 3 generations, and we're planning for Saturday night. The goal for us is to win, not to look like we're winning. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. You just looking like you winning. You ain't winning. Louis Vuitton is winning, Nike's winning, Armani is winning, Gucci's winning. It is interesting to me that the rich stay rich by pretending to be poor, and the poor stay poor by pretending to be rich. And if we do not fix this level of financial illiteracy, lots of reasons why we are at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters.
Poor people usually spend their money and invest what's left. That's the philosophy of the poor. Now here's the philosophy of the rich. Rich people invest their money and spend what's left. And here's the startling answer. It really doesn't matter what the amount is. What's most important is not the amount. What's really important is the philosophy. So I would ask you to adopt this philosophy of spending after you have invested. Invest first, then spend.